Hi, this is Ken Vella, live event host for Hot Wheels, Muscles and Mojo, Wheels and Waves Malibu, voted #1 in talk radio. Oh yeah. Right here, right now, you're listening to Every Car Has a Story with JoepeP and Dusty.
Here's a new way to put your head in the clouds. The 1966 Corvair. Corvair for 1966, the only car made in America with the engine in back. A most unusual car for people who enjoy the unusual. Independent four-wheel suspension that's almost like riding the wind. Here's road-grabbing traction, quick response handling. Corvair's a fun car for fun lovers, for car lovers. Corvair, a most unusual car for people who enjoy the unusual. Corvair for 1966, waiting for you at the usual place, your Chevrolet dealers.
And good afternoon, everybody. You're listening to Every Car Has a Story. Hi, I'm JoepeP, and with me is my trusty sidekick, Dusty. And I feel like I'm working in an erector set with this big crane in front of me. So someone says, yeah, that's him. He had that big black line across his face. So I really don't know if, but if as long as you can hear my lovely voice,
right.
you know. But anyway, hey, we got an exciting show coming up here today. We have plate jugglers, dancing bears, elephants, and if you believe that one, well, I got this bridge in Brooklyn. Get you a special deal on that.
We got a lot going. Great show today. Listen, we're talking about the 68 Corvair and
66.
The 66 Corvair. That 68 sticks in my mind because that was the last year, and actually they went through a body style, I think 67 or 68.
No, they're great wise one.
Yeah.
1969.
That's when the last year was?
That was
69?
last
Well,
year.
maybe it was. Yeah, you're right. It was 69. I got my years wrong.
That's
I
all
remember being down in Pensacola going through flight training and seeing one of the last ones, and actually they had what they called a Corvair Monza. I was trying to remember that name. That was the sporty version. That was like the track version of the Corvair. Great looking car. But by 69, it was like, it's kind of like buying a last Edsel. Did you really want to buy one? And you'd be the guy driving that car that nobody makes anymore. But they were great looking cars. And I tell you, the Monza really was a very good performer. Did you ever drive a Corvair?
Never drove a Corvair. Sat in the back seat of a Corvair.
Mm-hmm.
A buddy of mine in high school had one.
Yeah.
Kind of had muffler problems, so all the windows had to be open.
yeah.
Like that one, Nick? Maybe you could say that as a soundbite. Anyway, well, we have Tony Dow.
Yeah.
He's going to be on, and this is an amazing story. It's in 1962 he bought a Corvair Spider. In 1964, it was sold, and then the gentleman he became very ill, and several years ago he gave the car back to Tony after 50 years.
Wow.
That's amazing.
50
years.
years.
So this is a great story. So we'll be talking about Tony, about his career in acting and his career as a sculptor. Beautiful work, just beautiful work.
Absolutely gorgeous. You're right.
But the Corvair story will be on the second part. We have Kayla. She'll be on with In Search of Classic Cars with Zen. And we're going to be, we have a film that you can watch. So for our Facebook live audience, or as the hip kids say, podcast, you can see this on YouTube and on our podcast. And Kayla went and took a video so you could see this car and, what drew her attention to this machine. Dusty will be showing his tap dancing lessons, how he's going, at Arthur Murray,
So let's talk a little bit about quick car shows, because I know one that's very close to our heart. We went to it last year. That's the British Motor Club
Right.
British Motor Club's going to have a show here in Wilmington on the 4th. I guess that's coming up
That's
this weekend.
Saturday.
Yeah, so
That's
that ought to be a lot.
Saturday.
They got
I'll
some
be there.
gorgeous cars
I'll be
there,
there,
Joe.
yeah.
Beautiful car, Jaguars and Triumphs and MGs and, well, you name it. They got some neat cars.
And the best thing is, for our listening audience, it's in Battleship Cove Park.
Yeah. Right across the river, right behind us. Yeah.
And so you can go see the cars. You can take a tour on the battleship, see American history. I mean, this ship is phenomenal. And it was made in Brooklyn, New York. Good old Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll have a bagel with a cup of coffee.
It's a very famous ship. It was called the Showboat. It was the first new ship that came into Pearl Harbor after December 7th, 1941, and dramatically lifted the spirits of the folks that had gone through the surprise attack. So it's a beautiful, beautiful memorial over there.
So speaking of car shows, this is a banner that was awarded to me since I designed it. And this is for the AACA Cape Fear Southeast Regional Tour. And these were put on the back of the trunk or the spare tire of the car. And they had 3 days of touring. And, of course, our good old friend Hambone Hamby, he was there with his 29 Model A Coupe. And that was a lot of fun to drive in. It was a meet and greet on a Sunday.
Not to do a little bit of promotional, but if you have a logo you want, then I tell you what, Joe just does absolutely tremendous logos. So, yeah, if you have a
arts and crafts pays off, kids.
Right, absolutely. It's just gorgeous. So
hey, you know
that's
what?
one of the things Joe's does.
This would be great. Like when we go out to dinner, have lobster. It's like everything is right there,
I agree.
Anyway,
let's talk about
you rock, guys.
Let's talk about some funny car names. Cars are kind of interesting. I do a lot of studies about how you name a car, Joe. That's supposed to get the people all excited about the car. And so they came up with 10 really, really bad car names.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to start off with the first one. Tell me what you think. This is an Isuzu. And it's called the Mysterious Unity Wizard. Did you ever hear that one?
Okay, I could see how that was done.
You think that was going to be a big seller?
So you have all these hippies, ex-hippies in the room, right? It's like 1979, and they went to college in the late 60s, and in the 70s everybody was still a pot culture. I remember reading about that. And anyway, so I could see all these guys getting together, and they're probably drinking beers in the office. Office work was quite different back then. You could smoke cigarettes in an office.
Oh yeah.
Drinking.
Yeah. Yep.
So I could see them.
He could also flirt with the secretaries. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah,
that's really no.
We're not
hey,
even
Nick,
going to go there.
What was your first car's name? Did it have?
The one he has now.
Now, what is that? Toyota? What was that?
Well, it's Toyota, but it's...
You don't know what it is.
I don't.
But a lot of these cars, they had what they call a double entendre. That means they named it one thing, but it had a lot of bad juju when you actually named the name. Like, here's one, the Ford Probe. What does that do to you?
Well,
right away, I want to get one of those.
Well, we're not going to get into that. But anyway, moving right along,
all right.
We have our segment, In Search of Classic Cars with Zen with Miss Kayla from Montana. And what I can't get over, it's in the background. You have to look at the mountains that are in back of this automobile, and the snow is on the mountains. And, here in Wilmington, everything is flat. I think the tallest thing is this building here in Wilmington. So without further ado, let's have Kayla on. Is she there? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh.
Sorry, I was waiting for a response.
Oh, God. How you doing there, my friend? How's everything out there, out in the Great West?
Good. It did have a weird snow day. It was like last week, so I'm hoping we don't have any more of those.
No, Bill knows people in the government with the weather department, so he'll be working
we'll
on
give him
that.
A call.
On that.
So no more snow in Montana.
So you had later this week we were looking at the video that you had done on your 1954 Cadillac, and I know Nick's going to be putting that up quite shortly. But I hate this thing. It's like a girder. I have a girder.
It's
in front
splitting
of
you right down the middle.
I'm right down the middle.
Makes you look slim, though.
Slide over. Nick says slide over. Okay, is that better? Okay, anyway. So vanity killed the radio host. So she laughed with glee. So, Kayla, what drew your attention to this car? I mean, you're looking at all these old cars. Last week, we were looking at the 49 shoebox Ford, and you told us about how that car caught your eye. What was so special about this Cadillac?
Well, you honestly don't see a whole lot of them, especially up here. I've seen a very small handful at car shows, and if you do see them, they're 4-doors. You hardly see 2-doors, and that is what drew my attention to this car. Also, the price of the car, so I was like, kind of felt like this was too good to be true, so I had to go see it for myself, you know. And when I bought it, I honestly thought it was a coupe. Now discovering is a Coupe de Ville.
That's what I was going to say. This is a gorgeous car. This Coupe de Ville is really, really collectible. That top design in a 2-door makes that a very, 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 very potentially valuable car.
And it's that
it
color.
Really is.
I had a 54 Pontiac, and I believe it's the same color. It's like a warm orange with like a cream top. And
well, it was actually red at one time, but I think just over the years
it turned
kind of faded.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a very wonderful find there, and I tell you what, even in its current stage, for somebody who would like to redo that car, it's going to be very, very viable. And when it's redone, it's just beautiful.
So you've been doing some history on this before we came on the air. You find anything interesting?
Well, I found out it was a Coupe de Ville actually when I was doing the video for you. There was a tag hidden under the hood, and I'm used to Fords. Usually they're the tag's more like along the door. And this was right under the hood where I didn't notice it before, and I was reading the information and sent it to a friend of mine online, and he's like, that's a Coupe de Ville.
Yeah.
It's not just a regular coupe. So I've been like doing some research on it and
wow. Well, I absolutely love it.
It wasn't like a false.
Well, let me ask you, does that have the engine in it?
Yes.
Oh, it does. Oh,
so
that's
you have probably a V8
oh, yeah,
engine.
but that is a matching numbers engine. The car just went up in value dramatically. Wow, that's incredible.
Well, if you're ever looking for the power antenna for a new motor, my good friend Gary up in Connecticut, he has a 54, as I have mentioned. So he can point you, Kayla, to different areas if you're in search of something and you're having a hard time finding it. But I was showing Kayla before the advertisements that was associated with these cars. So it's like either you were a banker, a lawyer, you're an ad exec or something. I mean, this car was people of wealth back in the day.
Top of the line car. The Coupe de Ville was more the sporty car rather than the 4-door sedan, which was like more of a not an old lady's car, but a family car or a business car where you could take clients out. The Coupe de Ville was a sporty car, and we mentioned earlier the fact that these early Cadillacs, 49s, all the way to, 57 or 58, were the performance cars. They had the big engines. If you wanted a car that would really go, it was a Cadillac or a big Chrysler.
So, Kayla, thank you so very much.
I'm envious. I love that car.
Well, hey, buy it, you know.
Well, man, I buy it, but, what do they say, Joe? My funds are low?
My funds are low.
Maybe after I get rid of some of my other projects. Boy, I'd love to do that
So,
car.
kids, this is how you say. You talk like an angry Italian, and you go, my funds are low. My funds are low. Hey, so, Kayla, what's on tap for next week? Anything in mind?
We'll talk about 1942 Chevrolet.
42 Chevrolet?
Wow. Well, very quickly, where do you keep this car? I mean, how are you keeping it out of the rain and snow?
It's top secret. No, it's out in the open.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I would put something over it to protect it.
Yeah,
put a car cover.
People out here, because there's a lot of farmland, a lot of people actually do collect cars out here, and they keep it out in the open if it's a project. Right now, I don't have a a big lean-to or anything to
Sure.
park them under at the moment.
Wow.
So, or you keep them at, like, rent a little shed or something and stick them in there.
Wow.
Big Sky Country. It's Montana.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get some calls on this one because that is a great find.
That'd be nice. Well, you're listening and you're watching Kayla in search of classic cars with Zen. If you have a particular car that Kayla could investigate on, hey, send me an email or send me a text message on Facebook, and let's see what we can do. Kayla, thank you so very much for taking time out this afternoon.
Great find.
You're welcome.
Okay, kid. Have a good one. Happy motoring.
Do we have time for a Stump Joe question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We ready?
Stump Joe. Yep.
Here we go.
Go ahead.
All right, Joe, you're familiar with Porsche automobiles, are you not?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, okay,
yes.
good.
Yes.
That's the first part of the question. We have to make sure you know what those are. Okay. The question then is the ignition. You know what the ignition is?
Yes.
The little ignition switch?
Yeah, you get the keys in, you put it in there, and it goes zoom.
So the answer is the ignition on a Porsche automobile on the right side or the left side?
I'm going to say the left.
Wow, you got it. Now, most cars, it's on the right.
Thank you, Nick.
That was pretty good. Well, you know why it's on the left?
Because
most cars on the right.
Probably because over in Europe, everything's over on the right.
Well, that's partially right. The reason for it primarily was that when Porsche was racing, and they had the stick shift, the non-automatic shifter, that when they started the car, that allowed the race driver to start the car with his left hand and to save a split second, put the car in gear with his right, rather than starting the car with his right and then moving down to the gear shift. How about that? So that is the reason, going all the way back to the racing history, it's on the left-hand side.
You learn something new.
Isn't that great?
Every day.
But you got the answer right. Very good.
You see, everyone, here on Every Car Has a Story, not only is it an education, it's a free education on classic car. Everything, we name it. We may not know everything, but
that's on our PhD exam for Every Car Has a Story.
That's right there. And
Take
it's
notes.
a tough one. It's our university. Enrollment starts now. Classes are only $150,000. That's right, only $150,000 for a 2-week show. So, but right now, Nick is contacting Tony Dow.
Correct.
This is going to be really exciting. And it'd be really, really great because it's, the car thing. So, Nick, if we could just have a little intro. Yes? No? Maybe? There we go. There we go. So, Mr. Tony Dow, actor, of course, on the beloved Leave It to Beaver that I grew up with, and Bill... You lived in a cave at the time.
Was a little older.
Well, you lived in a cave back then. Tony is a wonderful sculptor. The work that this man has done just blows me away.
It is gorgeous.
And as a matter of fact, I'd sent Connie over information.
I did, and I'm very anxious to pursue that further because we'll have to ask him where it's available. Yeah.
And it's through his website, and I know he'll say that really quick. But a beautiful work. And then he's a car guy, and I'm always surprised to see who loves automobiles. And Tony's story of his 1962 Corvair Spider, and then 50 years. You figure after 50 years, you'll never see a car.
Amazing.
And then it comes back. So that'll be in the second part of the show. But Tony, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Sure, happy to. How's it going?
We're doing good. We're doing good there.
Good.
Tony, I have to say it's an honor to have an artist like yourself on our program. It's the work that you do with the sculpting. Is this something that when you were a little boy, that this is something that you always liked doing, is with art?
Well, yeah. I mean, I always dabbled in art, whether it was painting or whatever. And then when I was around 18, my folks gave me a welding torch, acetylene torch, and I started working in bronze and in copper, brazing.
Yep.
And so I made a number of things, did a couple of art shows, actually more than a couple, but then I got busy, so I wasn't able to pursue it. And I'd always said, well, when I retire from this crazy business, I will, meaning the entertainment business, I will settle down somewhere really cool and have a cool studio and pursue it. So that's kind of what happened, not exactly.
Well, is most of your work still in copper and bronze?
The work I do now is since the 2000s when I stopped directing, or shortly thereafter, probably. I started working in wood, but it's the part of the wood between the trunk and the root. So it's this real hard wood, and it has this great grain. It's kind of like a burl wood, kind of thing. And so I started working in that, and then when the pieces came out, if I liked them, if I thought they were good, I would then go ahead and have molds made and have them poured in bronze. So most of my stuff is in, not most of my stuff, but I'd say 25, maybe more, I've never counted, pieces are in bronze. And then the rest of them are either assemblages or they're multimedia or they're in wood.
Wow.
Tony, I know nothing. As an artist, I worked in advertising for 20 and an art director in print for 20. But how difficult is it to make a sculpture out of bronze? It's with ovens. Do you need ovens or?
No, actually, I take it to a foundry.
Yeah, you make a mold.
It's kind of dirty work. Yeah, what happens is they take the piece, whatever it's made out of. In my case, these are mostly wood, and make a rubber mold that's in two pieces, and it's screwed together, and then they fill that with wax, and then they open the mold up, take the wax out, and then they dip the wax in like a plaster kind of a thing.
Sure. Wow!
And they dip it maybe 15 times, and until it gets the thickness they want. And then they put it in an oven at 1,800 degrees, and because of all the complex fluting and whatnot, the wax melts out, so there's no wax left. And then now you've got a vessel that's exactly negative of the piece that you're making. So then they pour whatever the material is in, either, in my case, bronze or sometimes steel, but usually bronze.
Well, it's just beautiful work.
Oh, it is.
Tony, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing our, we have you on for the first segment, and then at 1:35 Eastern Standard Time, which is, what's that, around 10:35 your time, Nick will be calling you back, our producer, and we're going to be coming back, and we're going to be talking about your Corvair Spider and what Ken Vella did. And I think that's really exciting. I was talking to some people in the Corvette clubs on Facebook, and they're really excited. So you got a lot of Corvair fans watching and listening.
Everybody had one, you know.
Oh, everybody had one. It was the car.
Yeah, until good old Nader made them unsafe.
Our buddy Ralph.
That bastard. That bastard.
Rat bastard.
So Tony Dow, thank you so much. And you know what? I'll tell you, your bronze work is just phenomenal. I mean, you could make custom hood ornaments for these classic cars, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I have one. Yeah, I could. The one piece that I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like 10 feet tall, you know, and it's a huge piece. It was commissioned by the city of Fresno. Anyway,
but that's got to be a great piece of work.
Well,
Fantastic.
Tony Dow, we'll be back. Nick will be calling you, so just to sit back in your recliner, have a nice cocktail, and we'll be back with more Tony Dow.
All right.
And I think that's just phenomenal because I don't know how to work in there. So we have 1 minute. So why don't we squeeze off Eddie's Hot Rod commercial there?
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
40 seconds for Eddie. So we have Eddie's Hot Rod.
Yeah, Eddie's Hot Rod. Eddie's is the car guy that does work on your car. I mean, a lot of body shops, a lot of paint shops, they like cars, but they don't love cars. And Eddie loves cars. Listen, the Cobra that he did for me, it's probably the most photographed Cobra on the East Coast. Everybody comes in and is just blown away. The paint work and the body work on that car is just absolutely incredible. So
Quick
it's
phone
Eddie's,
number.
Eddie's Hot Rod and Collision, 910-833-5473-5009, Carolina Beach Road in Wilmington.
In Wilmington. So this is Joe Pep.
And Dusty.
And we'll be right back. And hey, stick around for our video. It's all Corvairs this Thursday. Take care.
If you're like most people who are interested in the Corvair, you want to know what it can do in action, out on the road. You want proof that the Corvair can deliver the goods, give you more of what you're looking for in a compact car. And here it is, dramatic proof that the Corvair delivers the goods as no other compact car can. Years ago, in its early development stages, Chevrolet engineers began testing disguised Corvairs, began making the Corvair a road car. They made it a compact car with power, traction, and ruggedness. They put into the Corvair a suspension system to tackle the roughest road and level it off for its passengers. Chevrolet designers and engineers used all their know-how to make this 1960 Corvair the compact car that people could count on. But they didn't stop there. There was more testing, double-checking, retesting. Here at the challenging Lime Rock, Connecticut Raceway, the 1960 Corvair was really put through its paces, made to prove itself. And it did. It proved its stability, and then some. Just watch how the Corvair stays under control in this situation. Now see how the Corvair proved its maneuverability and ease of handling. Watch the Corvair handle some rough going. Look at that fender line. See how level the Corvair's body stays. Now watch the Corvair prove that it's got the power, the traction, the stamina to go just about anywhere. Just look at this. Using this stream for its highway, the Corvair actually plowed along like this for over 20 miles. And not once did its reliable turbo air engine falter.
You're listening to Every Car Has a Story, show number 73. 73! I can't believe that. It's from the very first one that we did there back in 1927 at with the Phil Schmidt's Ballroom in downtown Hoboken, New Jersey there. I remember those days quite clearly. Let's go back. Well, anyway, let's talk about Manifest Design.
Yeah, let's talk about Manifest Design. I tell you what, it's just an incredible store, 30065 Howard Avenue in beautiful Market Common in Myrtle Beach. And it's now the new telephone number is 843-515-1333 or 910-352-2326. Delightful and beautiful Connie that's there. Gorgeous North Carolina furniture. You can make custom furniture cheaper than you can buy it at a furniture store. Of course, you got the absolutely spectacular Eddie's Cobra there. You got gifts for guys, propellers, beautiful airplanes, all kinds of neat stuff. So the guys come in, they don't have to look at fabrics. And I tell you, Joe, it really is a destination, and it is a vacation for your eyes.
It's like a vacation for your eyeballs. Like a Goggles Pizzana would say, the oldest race car driver and an airplane pilot. I think I'm around 125 years old. But you kids, you listen to your mom and you listen to your papa, or you got a big you know what.
Yeah,
anyway.
Talking about Papa, we got Papa Shine products coming out. That's going to be a new sponsor. Those are going to be available at Manifest. And if you all coming down to Myrtle Beach this weekend, we'll have them available, and we'll be talking about them more in the radio program.
That's right. We got a lot of exciting things coming up there. But talk about exciting. Mr. Excitement himself, Jesse Wild from Angel's Garage. And so much excitement that it's just busting out at the seams. How you doing there, Jesse?
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Hey,
I'm
good
doing
afternoon.
great, man. I'm excited about this show today. Boy, Tony Dow, Kayla, you guys, woo.
And Jesse.
Woo!
Hey,
I gotta
I
have
saw the
another show
picture
to
of
talk.
you, Jesse, riding on a horse. You look like a real cowboy. Great picture.
Yippee-yi-yo,
You
Kai.
bet.
There's one with
Well, I'll
Jesse
tell
and a surfboard with a top hat. So that one, I
Oh,
like
yeah.
to see that one there. But
Yeah, that's cool.
so Jesse, what's going on production-wise with Angel's Garage there on NBC SN? This is exciting.
Well, sir, I'll tell you, we've been finishing up our Ranchero, the Ford Ranchero, and putting all the goodies on. It's going to be a police car, which will be used at the beginning of our show, which we're about to. And we're also going to be we're really excited about this, putting a logo of Every Car Has a Story sticker on the car.
That's
police
right.
car.
Wow.
Yep. And I was talking to Angela yesterday, and I was doing the happy dance in the office, and of course I stepped on the dog's tail, and it's like a domino effect, And then Mrs. Pep, she's saying, "What the hell's going on upstairs?" And yeah, I got the dogs going, and then my son saying, "Hey, what are you, nuts?" But anyway, that's right. So, God, Nick, I love it. Anyway, so I mean, this is really, really, really exciting. So changes in the air, and not loose change like quarters, nickels, and dimes. So that's exciting. And then Angela tells me that you guys are going to be doing the intro like in 2 weeks. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, around that time. That's Hollywood. Things do change, but that's a projection that we're making.
Wow.
And we're excited. We're excited about that sticker on the car.
So
it's really going to
we
be
are
great.
too.
But we still need you.
So-
Still need you, Joe, for the siren part. We have to find a lawn chair so we can put on the car.
Well, that's what I was
and have
thinking. You know what? How about this? You get a lawn chair and have Angela have like bolts on the lawn chair on the roof, and I'll just get a microphone and, get me some goggles so, because I know it's dusty out there. And then I'll just go, and believe me, I'll clear the roads for you. It'll be a great thing. Or as our president would say, huge. You'll be really huge. So, anything else before we say goodbye until next week?
No, just looking forward to more of Tony Dow. It's great to have him on the show.
Tony, yep, Tony. It's a fantastic artist. He owns a Corvair, and I want to hear more about this because I never knew that Chevrolet went into, like, say, a Spider and all the different types of things.
Sure.
So, Jesse, thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Regards to Angela and Jesse Wild from Angel's Garage on NBC SN. Tune it in.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, kid. Wow, it's we got a lot of things. We got a lot of.
We do. I can't wait to see that. That's
after a
gonna be
long
phenomenal.
stretch,
Yes.
things are starting to percolate there, and that's I love it because it's like that old Maxwell House commercial where it goes, you know, and then
How
all
do
of
you
a
do that, Joe? Nick
Well-
is really impressed.
Well, I know it's either he's talking to himself or he's on the phone with Tony.
Yeah.
But sound effects, and I think I should have been working with Mel Blanc back in
Oh,
Warner
it's great.
Brothers.
Yeah.
It
Woody
was,
Woodpecker.
and well, that's a story for another day. Anyway, we have back on Tony Dow is back on, and now we're going to be talking about Tony's story, this 50-year venture of this car, this Corvair Spider. Tony, thank you for coming
Yes.
back. Now,
All right.
did you buy this car brand new back in '62?
Yeah, I did. I bought it in '61. Ordered it from the factory, which there was a factory right here in San Fernando Valley,
Huh.
and I ordered it with a midnight blue metallic paint and a black interior, which you couldn't get at the time.
Oh, okay.
So that was in '61. Now it wasn't a Spider then; it was just a regular Corvair. You know, it had like 106 horsepower or
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
And it was very cool. I had it lowered a little bit and reverse chrome wheels and all that kind of fancy stuff. And went through all my high school years with it. You know, my
Nice.
dating and double dating and this and that and cruising Bobs and so it was my first car, and I really loved the car. And then in '65 I sold it to this fella, and then kind of forgot about it. I got a Corvette, actually. You were talking about a Corvette. Club.
Okay.
I got a 63 or a '62 Corvette.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
and
what a
it was-
lucky,
it was
you're a
pretty
lucky
cool
dog,
because I
Tony
had-
Dow. You know, my God.
California
Huh?
dreaming.
You're a lucky dog. I mean, it's like, you're buying cars when I was a kid back then, and you see the magazines come out with the new Corvettes, and you're like, wow, this is great. But I mean, you're actually buying one, and
Yeah, but I wasn't really necessarily a car guy. It was just I was selling my Corvair, and I was looking for a car. And here's an interesting story. I had two cars that I was looking at, and they were about $1,500 apart in price. And one was a '62 Corvair, and the other one was I think it was a '57 Gullwing SL 300.
oh my God, nice,
whatever it
nice
is,
car.
Yeah, the
Mercedes.
300. Yeah, 300 SLs. Oh boy.
Which is worth like millions of dollars right
Yeah.
now. But
Yep.
so I figured I couldn't take care of it because the expense of the maintenance was too high.
Yeah,
Way too
they
high.
It cost
Yeah.
$300 to tune it up, so
Yeah.
I said, well, I'll go with a Corvette.
Yep.
But it was pretty cool. I had Buick Skylark spoked wheels on it, and it spent most of its life in the shop because it got stolen twice. Every
Ooh.
time I'd park it, somebody'd steal it.
Oh.
So then I quit that, and I decided to go. I went with Porsches. I went with those 356 Porsches, and I had two or three of those. But anyway, getting back to the Corvair.
Sure.
So I'm sitting around a couple of years ago, and I get an email from this guy, and he says, "Hey, you want your old car back?" And I thought, what's this crazy guy talking about?
Sure.
And I didn't even really respond at first because I, didn't think it was anything. And so finally I thought, well, I probably should respond and see what's going on. So I responded and said, hey, what's up? What's the deal? And he told me this whole story about how his buddy had bought the car from me in 1965. They had gone through all their high school years with it, just like I had. and they loved the car. They would sit around in the garage, drink beer, and work on the car, tinker with it, whatever.
Of course.
They ran it in rallies, and they double dated. They did all the same things I did, and then it sat for a while. And in 1987, the guy decided, well, I'm going to do a ground-up restoration. So he took it apart. He was a machinist and an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And so anything that needed to be remade, he did, and he put a Spider engine in it, which it didn't have, which upped the horsepower, to, I don't know what it was, like to 160 or something like that.
Right, yeah.
And then it had a turbo, and
Oh.
it has a Jaguar XKE carburetor, and it has an alcohol injection system,
Sure.
and all new suspension. Everything's just really bitching on it. I mean, he just really did a great job on it.
Wow.
But then he put it away again in the early 2000s, and he got ill. And he and his friend were talking because his friend was going to take care of his estate. And he said, well, what should we do with the Corvair? I mean, it's
Sure.
been part of our life for so long. What are we
Yes.
going to do? And the guy said, well, look, if you can find Tony, why don't you look him up and give it back to him?
Wow.
So that's what that whole thing was about, and it
What
was
a
amazing.
story.
At first, I thought it must be a junker, so I went down to see it, and of course, it was beautiful.
Oh.
It had a beautiful black lacquer paint job, and had an all-new dash, all-new instruments. It had, anything that used to be rubber was now aluminum that he had hand machined.
Oh.
So it's pretty cool.
Now, our mutual friend Ken Vella, he did it went back for restoration work again, what I see with the photos, right?
Yeah, it needed, it had been sitting around for probably 6 or 7 years, but it was undercover, and it had really cool wheels, but there were some paint glitches on it, which is Ken's specialty.
Sure.
And it also, things inside, like the headliner was screwed up, and there were a few things that were screwed up.
Right.
So he took the car and spent about a month on it and got it looking, car show ready. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's really, to me, it's, was there anything, now see, these are the questions I always ask where my wife says to me, what are you, crazy?
Yeah.
Was there anything in the car, like maybe a scratch or a ding that you put in it that was still there from 50 years later?
Hey, look, guys, I'm 74 or something, and I can't remember a damn
Memory's
thing. So,
not that good.
I'm
You're
not gonna
right.
scratch.
Yeah. Well, I've got a question. You've driven a lot of Porsches. How does this car now compare to some of those type of automobiles when you drive it?
Well, we live in the canyon, so I have about a 4-mile canyon drive to get home.
Yeah.
And the Porsches were great
Sure.
for that, you
Yeah.
know. But this car is much faster, handles much better.
Oh.
It's like a slot car because it's got all new struts, and the suspension's all changed, and so it doesn't have. One of the things that it has that I think is really cool is the license plate frame in the back says unsafe at any speed.
Now, when you're driving this car around, do the young people stop you and ask you what it is?
Yeah, what the hell kind of car is that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, nobody knows what it is now. At one point in time, everybody had
sure.
Everybody had a friend who had one.
They
You know?
say, wow, what a neat car. What is that?
Yeah, they really like it.
Okay, okay, Tony. So now I have another question for you. Okay. Okay, we're going to go to the bonus round now. So here it is. It's you're driving this car. It's a brand new car, 1962. What did the kids back then think of the Corvair compared to all the other cars that were coming out? Was it like the cool car or?
No. I mean, it was a cool car because, like I said, I had it lowered in the front and had some reverse chrome wheels,
Yeah.
and it had a little tonneau cover over the back. So it was kind of a cool car, and it was cool enough that I went to play volleyball one evening and came out, and the car was on blocks, and all the wheels were gone.
Oh,
It was
no.
cool enough to steal the wheels.
Oh.
That was
But
bad.
I tell you what,
Actually,
they're creative out there.
Gee whiz.
yeah, right.
Tony, you
But
know what?
actually, the guy who played Lumpy on the Leave It to Beaver show,
Yeah.
he was a car guy. He had the '57 Chevys and the cars, a new car every year or so, and so I was sort of tagging along behind him. I mean, he had all the cool cars. Mine was just a Corvair, which was kind of a family car. It was an entry-level Chevrolet. I mean,
Yeah,
the cheapest
yeah.
Chevrolet made.
But it must have been fun. I mean, back in the day where it's like you go to work at the studio and the people that you're working with, they're driving up with their cars and, you're talking about girls and cars and things like that. I mean, to me, it must have been a really nice time. Sometimes I get envious because I'm 64. And so I was a little squirt back then. And now I'm an old squirt. So.
But I tell you, if you had a new car in high school back then, you were the guy, because most of us in high school at that time, we had really old cars, So if you had a new car, I don't care what it was, well,
Dusty,
you were the guy.
what was your first car?
Oh, it was a 1957 Rambler Rebel. Remember we talked about that?
That's
was
right,
the first super sports car, yeah. But it was still a Rambler. But it had
It's still a Rambler. I prefer to call them Nashes.
Well,
Nashes, yeah.
But it had a high-performance engine and a racing rear end in it. But no, they just thought it was a Rambler. But
Was
so
this
that was
the
my
one where
first
you
car.
put the fire, not the fiberglass, the steel wool in the muffler? And you
No,
had
that
flames?
was my MGA.
Oh, okay.
That was a later.
You see, Tony, we have so many stories going on over here. It's
Oh, I bet. You guys are full of them, I bet. I had, the Corvair with 106 horsepower is like, everybody gets across the intersection before I do.
Sure.
It's really a slow car. Then I got the Corvette, and of course, it was it had a big engine and all that sort of stuff. And I think they timed those things at like 106 1/4 mile, which was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
And it was it was racing. The cars that raced against it were the 409s and what were the Fords? 427s.
427s, the big Ford engines, 409s.
Yeah, so I mean, all those cars were about the same speed. But what happens is it gets stolen. They take the engine, they take the transmission.
Yep.
I get it back, and there's a big hump in the hood because the engine's bigger than the old one, and
it's not the same.
The transmission's a close ratio transmission with a clutch that. It was like 40 pounds on it was impossible for me to get the damn thing down. It was.
That's like the Hertz Shelby cars, where they would rent those and they'd take them out and race them on the weekends, and then they'd steal the engines. But they're creative out there, I tell you.
Well, you see, Tony, it's like if you lived out here in Wilmington, I've not heard any stories as of yet with people on blocks. But hey, we got Screen Gem Studios here in Wilmington. You could be producing. And you don't have to worry about your car being put on milk crates.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Come on down. Hey, we got the Atlantic Ocean only a mile away, so come on down.
Set it up. I'll be there.
Okay, we'll wait for you at ILM, and they'll have a big sign, Tony.
Yeah,
Tony.
great.
We'll pick
Sounds
it up.
good.
But the nice thing is like you're good friends with Fireball. He'll be on next week, and good friends with Ken. And you go to the car shows and you share your story, and that's the most important things about car shows. People don't know the history of this car, why it was developed.
Right.
And people don't know it was the United States way of starting to fight the Japanese with foreign imports and a better economy with.
Or that the cars were built in San Fernando. That's a great story. Right there in California, it's a great story.
Unbelievable! Yeah. It's really great. Now,
everybody's interested when you park it. I mean, it's an odd-looking car. It used to be kind of small, but now it's not that small. And the design is beautiful. It's much different than it morphed into. I like it better, the 62, 63.
Yeah.
I don't know when. I think 64 they changed the body style, but
that's what we were talking about when they actually changed that body style. And then Joe reminded me that they finally stopped making them in 69, because I remember seeing a 69 convertible when I was down in flight school, thinking, well, I wonder if I should buy a car like that. And they said, nah, because they're going to stop making them. And that always puts kind of the voodoo on the car. They're not going to make them anymore.
But it came, you know what? It's like almost like the left, the right, and the rear. The design stayed the same, whereas the front was flat in the beginning, and then by 69 it was kind of
much more
tapered and more
tapered
airflow.
Down,
yeah. But
more aerodynamic. Yeah, I like the style that I've got, and well, you guys have seen pictures of it, so it's got this really cool wheels, and it's got.
Everybody's seeing them now, so just make sure that.
I'm kind of dreaming about driving that car. What it would be like. You said it's like a slot car. That's got to be a great experience.
It's a lot of fun, Tony.
I mean, it used to be because when I got it back, it had these huge wide tires on it.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately, like I told you, I'm not a car guy, so I don't have all the numbers down. But and they don't make them that wide anymore unless you have them made special, which I wasn't about to do. And so, but the tires weren't reliable. They were all cracked on the side. The sidewalls were all cracked.
No, time to get new ones.
Worried about it.
Yep.
So I had to get new ones.
Racing tires.
But in the beginning, when I drove it with those really wide tires, that was really amazing. I mean,
hey Tony, we had a guy show up at a car show, and it was like with a 26 Essex, and it had the original tires, and they're cracked and everything. And the guy says to me, "You think I should get new ones?" I go, "Yeah, like now."
He had the original tires.
But anyway, it's like how they survive. But Tony, we have 3 minutes left, so could you tell everybody your the name of your sculpting business and website so that they can come and visit you, because they should know more about you.
Yeah, it's TonyDowSculpture.com.
Okay.
And then there's a gallery in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Lauren, what's the gallery's name? It's the Bellata Gallery.
In Fort Lauderdale. Okay.
Say it again. Bilotta is the Bellata Gallery in Fort Lauderdale, which has a bunch of stuff. Right. And they also sell things online. So
that's
I think
wonderful.
Between those two things, you can probably find me.
Wow, that is fantastic, Tony. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story about what it was like buying your Corvair, your sculpting work, your career, and again, thank you so very much. To me, it's an honor to have you on our show. Thank you so very much.
And a great car story.
And a great car story.
Well, it's a great car story, and I enjoyed doing the show, and so you guys stay out of reverse, right?
That's right. A wise guy.
So steer in your own lane, bro.
There you go. Tony Dow, thank you so very much.
Thank you. See you guys.
Wow.
Bye.
What a great story there.
Yeah.
And, the thing is that it was very important when I was talking to Ken Vell, who did fantastic work on Tony's car. We all know Tony from Leave It to Beaver. But the thing is, I wanted to concentrate on his skills as an artist, as a sculptor, and his work on this Corvair. It's like moving forward. So anyway, hey, we got Firewall Tim coming up next week.
One of my favorites.
Car. Yeah,
yes.
Car designer. He's coming out with some great line of coloring books. He's always doing something. So this is JoepeP.
And Dusty.
And you're listening to Every Car Has a Story. And we're on Worldwide Internet Radio, podcast, YouTube, that tube, what tube? Who knows? Maybe an inner tube. See you next week. Take care.